What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here, back with another conference championship preview, and we are headed to Indianapolis, where we had the number 2 Michigan Wolverines absolutely dominate the Iowa Hawkeyes, number 13 in the country, for a 42-3 win, which gave Jim Harbaugh his first Big Ten championship as the head coach of the Wolverines and set them up for their first college football playoff appearance, where he will ultimately go to the Orange Bowl and take on the Georgia Bulldogs, who fell to number 3 in the college football playoff rankings. But man, we got to get to what happened in Indianapolis. And I know everyone's enamored with Alabama's win over Georgia, but this was quietly one of the more impressive wins of the weekend, where Michigan left no doubt in the committees and any fans in Indianapolis or anyone who tuned in to see the game in Indianapolis who the best team in the Big Ten was this season, as they absolutely dominated this weekend in Indianapolis. And it all started with, of course, we'll get to the instant takeaways. Is one, the run game is for real for Michigan. It is absolutely legit. They are able to run the ball on just about anybody any given weekend, as they put up over 211 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and averaged over six yards per carry for the game this weekend against a stout Iowa defense, man. And they do it with such a multitude of ways. You got Blake Corum with his explosiveness to the outside, Hassan Haskins with the every down back. You saw AJ Henning get in there a little bit. Donovan Edwards had some carries, including the last minute touchdown late in the game. They are going to run the football, and they are going to say, you're going to have to stop us. They're running the football no less than 30 times a game, no matter who they play, and they are just going to pound it away until you make them put it in the air. And also, the play calling was so creative at times for Jim Harbaugh, including the Donovan Edwards sweep, where he ends up throwing it downfield for a 75-yard touchdown pass. I mean, to Roman Wilson. The creativity that Michigan used this weekend was amazing to watch, and you could tell from the second this team stepped on the field, they knew they were the better team and they knew they were going to win. And then today on the college football playoff selection show, they mentioned Jim Harbaugh ordered Big Ten championship banners last Wednesday. So there was no doubt in Jim Harbaugh's mind or anybody within that Wolverines front office that thought that Michigan was going to lose this game. And then on top of that, the other takeaway is, man, this defense played an outstanding game. Like, yes, Iowa didn't have an outstanding passing game coming in, but they held Iowa to less than 280 total yards, held them to 5 for 19 on third down, and they forced a key turnover late in the game. I mean, listen, they made Iowa look completely like they shouldn't even been on the field with them. And I give Michigan's defense a lot of credit. Hutchinson and Ajabo still the best DN duo in the country, and the secondary played great football. They did not allow Iowa to get any separation all game long. So I give Michigan, as an overall team, one of the best grades of the weekend. They said, listen, a lot of people have been giving us flack year in and year out for not getting to this point. They were going to leave no doubt in anyone's mind that they were the best team on the football field. And also, Cam McNamara made the handful of throws he needed to. He wasn't overly, he isn't going to pad the stat box, but he's going to be a game manager, and he did it again this weekend against Iowa. Now, when you look at what potentially went wrong for the Hawkeyes, one, the quarterback position is a problem for the Hawkeyes moving forward, man. Spencer Petras, Alex Padilla, Gavin Williams, all those guys, nobody played well enough to win. I mean, Padilla averaged 2.5 yards per attempt, 10 for 15 for 38 yards and a pick. That is not going to win you the Big Ten championship. And then Petras was just inconsistent, 9 for 22 for 137. They have to be more balanced on the offensive side of the ball. For early in the season, they were able to run the football because their defense was forcing a lot of turnovers. They had multiple pick six, and it kind of saved this offense and it allowed them to play with no pressure. But when you face a team like Michigan that's not going to turn the ball over a lot, it forces your offense to drive the field and score. And they just didn't have the offensive talent to do just that. You look at a Gavin Williams, a Tyler Goodson, neither of them were able to get going on the ground. And it just put too much pressure on these quarterbacks he tried to throw against an extremely talented secondary for Michigan, and they were under pressure all night. Ajava and Hutchinson, big games again, and Michigan was just able to be aggressive. And you could tell with the defensive play calling, they weren't scared of anything over the top with Iowa. They were going to play in your face. They were going to blitz you. They were going to load the box. And Michigan said, "Listen, we think our athletes are better than yours." And on Saturday night, they were. And when you look at what Iowa had to do, like I said on my preview, they had to run the football. They got over 100 yards rushing, but they only averaged about 3 yards per carry, didn't find the end zone all night, and Michigan did not allow an explosive play on the ground. The longest run of the night was 11 yards by Gavin Williams. So Michigan's defense played such an outstanding game. They held the wide receiving core to like literally almost no production. Sam Laporto is the only wide receiver with over 2 catches. The second leading receiver was Tyler Goodson with 6 catches out of the backfield. So they did such a great job on the outside. And when you look at this Iowa team, you just have to be more balanced moving forward. And when you look at what they need to do going into next year, their offensive line's there. They have the running backs. They gotta recruit talent on the outside. They need more playmakers at the wide receiving spot because this Michigan team was too good for you to just run the football and have an average passing attack. They have to recruit more athletes on the outside, and that's really the difference ultimately between Michigan and Iowa this weekend. But for the Wolverines, man, you see the question right there on my right. Did Harbaugh prove everyone wrong? And I want to really kind of break this down for a second. Harbaugh bet on himself, and I said that on one of the episodes recently. Is what I mean by Harbaugh bet on himself. He said, "Yes, shorten my contract. Yes, lower my buyout. Yes, you can restructure everything because I'm betting on myself that I can get this team to where they need to be." And year in year out, everyone, including myself, was skeptical of Harbaugh's ceiling or potential at Michigan. I even said I thought Michigan should have moved off him last year, but Harbaugh said, "I know what I have coming back. I see it in practice, in the weight room, in the building that our team is slowly but surely building to something special." And this year, even after the Michigan State game, there were a lot of questions on, is this team can this team get to the Big Ten title game? And then after what you saw happen with Michigan State and Ohio State, everyone said, "Oh man, Michigan it doesn't have a chance against Ohio State." They came in there, established their will with the run game, and their defense played outstanding football. And Jim Harbaugh finally lived up to all the promises he made coming into Michigan. So I want to say Jim Harbaugh deserves a lot of credit for betting on himself and getting this team to the spot where they needed to be to compete for a national title. Now they find themselves as the number 2 seed in the college football playoff with a chance to knock off Georgia for a chance to ultimately go play for a national championship in the same building where Jim Harbaugh just won his first Big Ten championship in Indianapolis in Lucas Oil Stadium. So everything's there for Michigan to make a huge run. And the number one thing I want to see moving forward is, can Michigan continue to establish their run game? Can Cade McNamara still avoid turnovers and be an efficient game manager against some of these elite level teams? They're going to have an extremely tough matchup against Georgia in the Orange Bowl. They're going to have to throw the ball a little bit, man, because you cannot allow Georgia to load the box and try to stop that run game. But for me, the MVPs of this team this year, one, Aiden Hutchinson, that for me at least, he established himself as the best player in the Big Ten this year. He should win any award regarding Defensive Player of the Year, Big Ten Player of the Year. Aiden Hutchinson was the best player in the Big Ten this year. Also, Ajabo to become his sidekick on the edge was also a huge key for this Michigan team. But also, Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins at the running back spot, man. I don't think anybody coming into the season saw this happening where they would take this elite step up, and they gave Michigan one of the best rushing attacks in the country. And we knew that the quarterback spot was good, but we knew it wasn't going to be able to be at that elite level. And Corum and Haskins all season long, even with Corum fighting injuries at times, consistently delivered big performances, man. Hassan Haskins, 56 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't have his best game, but he still found a way to make a huge impact. But then Corum was so explosive, that huge 67-yard touchdown where he just hit the edge and nobody could catch him. They are a great 1-2 combo, and they complement each other so well in the backfield. And then you even have Donovan Edwards. Got to rush a touchdown late, but he's that receiving back out of the backfield that really offers that third dimension of his game. So I think Michigan was built perfectly to make this run. And I think it's a shame on a lot of us media for not really calling this out and not believing Harbaugh could do it. But I think if you're a college football fan, man, you were so glad to see Michigan back at the top of their game. And I think you got to be impressed with what Harbaugh did with this team when nobody was expecting it. Year in and year out, people were saying, man, is this the year for Michigan? Is this the year for Michigan? And they were constantly let down. Well, Jim Harbaugh finally delivered in the biggest moment as they get a 42-3 blowout win, never even close, in the Big Ten championship over the Iowa Hawkeyes and Kirk Ferentz's team, man. But listen, make sure to like the video and subscribe now. Comment your takeaways from all the action in Indianapolis. What do you think Michigan's chances are in the college football playoff against Georgia? And also, where do you think Iowa should end up? As you might be watching this video, their matchup may be announced, but what do you think about this weekend? What are your takeaways from Michigan's dominant win? And what do you think of Jim Harbaugh now that he's brought another Big Ten title to the Michigan Wolverines, man? But guys, stay tuned for more conference championship recaps later today. Also got some great interviews and content coming this week. And of course, we're going to start our bowl preview starting next week as well. So make sure to tune in for that. Make sure to subscribe. If you're traveling from Indy, man, be safe. But until next time, guys, the Blue Bloods are out.